how's it going, and welcome to another video. So, it would not feel right having a month-long celebration of my favorite series without mentioning Dragon Ball. It really is one of the great passions of my life. It's a series I've spent an enormous amount of time and money on, and it wouldn't be a stretch to say it's my single favorite media franchise of all time. Either way, today I wanted to tell the story of my personal journey with Dragon Ball's most well-known antagonist, the mighty Lord Freeza. I grew up in what I guess you could call the Dragon Ball video game generation. I was born in 1997, ever so slightly too young to watch Dragon Ball Z on Toonami and understand what the fuck was going on. Despite this, I have scattered memories of seeing the show at a young age. As a young child, Dragon Ball Z was always something I knew existed, but actually being able to watch it was a different story. My first time getting to truly experience the story, even if it was in a condensed form, was through Dragon Ball Z Budokai on the GameCube. I remember at the time I didn't even have a memory card, so I basically played through the whole thing in one sitting. And that was of course my introduction to Freeza. To take a step forward to set the mood, Freeza really is one of the most evil and recognizable anime and manga antagonists of all time. His polite demeanor masks a man who is cruel, power-hungry, egotistical, and horrible through and through. He wipes out entire planets and races while laughing about it, tortures those who oppose him, and has a drive to dominate and control the entire universe. He exhibits a level of cruelty which is probably the closest to pure evil you can possibly get, and his actions are entirely selfish. He doesn't do what he does to bring about order to the universe. There really is no grand cause. Freeza is a selfish dictator through and through. He's great, one of the most evil characters ever conceived of. And I could spend the entire video talking about how bad to the bone this motherfucker is, but that's not really what this video is about. Although I realize all this now, back in the day I didn't quite get it. Not that I didn't understand that he was evil, but rather Freeza as a character just didn't quite connect with me. And that's more or less how I felt about him through most of my life. From about 2003 or 2004 when I first played Budokai, to about 2015 or so, Freeza was the character everybody seemingly loved, but never really clicked with me on a personal level. You know the feeling when all of your friends talk about that one show or game or whatever, and they all say it's really good, and you give it a try and it's like, it's fine? That's kinda how I felt about Freeza. He was fine. Didn't hate him, didn't love him, but I could understand where people were coming from. I enjoyed his story, the relationships he had with the other characters, and I respected what he represented as a character and as a villain. But he never quite jumped that gap into becoming a character that was truly special to me. And I ended up enjoying antagonists like Vegeta and Majin Buu more. And that's kinda just how things were for years. Dragon Ball was a series that would get a video game every year or two. I'd play them and my overall opinion on Frieza wouldn't really change much. Dragon Ball Kai came out, and ultimately Battle of Gods would kickstart a new era of Dragon Ball. Imagine all the new friends, foes, challenges for our heroes to face. They immediately bring back Freeza. When it was revealed that the next movie would star Freeza and be titled Resurrection F, people were divided to say the least. On one hand, there were the people who were really excited to see the return of the Emperor. On the other hand, many were thinking, really? Freeza? Again? Although Freeza had been canonically dead since Trunks sliced him up during the Android saga, his influence was always felt throughout the series. He was always present in some way. For example, he shows up in Dragon Ball GT. He made an appearance in Fusion Reborn and the Hachiok special. Plus, there were his innumerable appearances in video games. So the phrase, Freeza is coming back, doesn't have quite the same impact as you would expect it to. Many felt it was just a lazy way to sell tickets, which contrasted Battle of Gods as being a creative sort of revitalization of the series. Yeah, fuck it, bring back Freeza, he's popular. And so they did just that. And it was an okay movie. Whereas I finished watching Battle of Gods feeling like I had re-entered the world of Dragon Ball and saw something really special, Resurrection F made me feel, it was okay. I thought Golden Frieza and Super Saiyan Blue were cool forms, Jocko was a great addition to the cast, and there were some decent fights, but otherwise it was fine. Not horrible, just fine. Frieza was revived, killed, and everybody assumed that would be the last of him. One last hurrah for Dragon Ball's most iconic villain. Enter Super. Hot take incoming! The Resurrection F retelling in Super was bad. That's actually more like a cold take. A freezing cold take. Haha, I'm very funny. Yeah, but anyways, this arc was not very good. They took an okay movie and turned it into a not great looking, poorly animated waste of time, and didn't do Freeza any favors. The events of the story more or less play out the same with a few changes, like Tagoma becoming the second strongest guy in Frieza's army, which makes no sense scaling-wise, but I kinda liked it. Ultimately, it ended up taking an already not greatly paced movie, and stretching it out way further than it should have been. And then, after this one last, not ceremonious hurrah, Freeza was retired permanently. He would never appear again. Enter the Tournament of Power. When the news first broke that Freeza would be the final warrior of Universe 7, everybody shit. From my recollection, it was an even more intense reaction than Resurrection F. Once again, the Freeza fans were delighted, but just as many groaned at the prospect of them reviving Freeza again, and I was one of them. He was just revived and killed not too long ago, and it felt like, once again, Freeza was being brought back as a marketing tool. Plus, I was kind of annoyed that my man Majin Buu got shafted again after not getting to fight in the Universe 6 tournament. What I didn't know at the time is that this would ultimately be the arc that would make me truly love Freeza. Something about Freeza, right when he gets recruited, felt different to me in a way I can't quite describe. He had a certain presence to him. There's this sense of malice and foreboding. Like when Goku first cuts his little cocoon and instantly the entire environment changes. There's this sort of tension constantly emanating from him. And it really feels like Goku has opened a Pandora's box by doing this. While I was initially very skeptical, within about 2 episodes, I had an enormous amount of confidence in the decision to bring Freeza back. It was a different side to Freeza. He was just as evil as ever, but he felt in control. He acted almost the same way he would act during the Namek Saga with his subordinates. He wasn't consumed by the same blind hatred that dominated him in Resurrection F. He was still enemies with Goku, but he was at least on some level over his intense crusade for revenge. The scene where he emerges with Baba and punches Goku straight in the gut was the perfect encapsulation of the new Freeza. It was like two brothers giving each other a good jab after not seeing each other for a while. It was almost like a sort of sibling rivalry. The man just radiates this sort of charisma and stage presence. No matter what he's doing, when Freeza is on screen, it's all eyes on him. For example, the scene when he transforms into Golden Freeza, as the Tournament of Power arena is finally constructed, it stands out as one of my favorite moments in the entire show. Within the span of 2 episodes, I went from being extremely skeptical to anxiously awaiting every action he took. Although I didn't realize it at the time, this was the key to making me truly love and appreciate Freeza. Take an evil guy and make him a villain again. That's cool, but make him an ally, and the dynamic is entirely changed. Him and Goku have an honest-to-God sparring match, whereas in the past he was either toying with Goku or fighting to kill. It's a new kind of interaction between the two. Vegeta and Freeza are forced to work together, and it's obvious if they had any other option, they would be killing each other on the spot. Most of the people in Universe 7's team have either fought, been tortured, or killed by Freeza, and forcing them to cooperate made the entire group so much more interesting to watch. Yet there's always this feeling that at any point Freeza could betray Universe 7, like when he temporarily teams up with Frost only to end up annihilating him. It adds a layer of internal tension to the entire arc. And although almost every participant in this thing was an enemy at one point, this was fucking Freeza. He's just different from everybody else in the tournament, callous and constantly scheming, using others to his advantage, doing anything he can to win. Even gods of destruction from other universes think this guy is fucking evil. The people who live their lives destroying are unnerved by this guy. And although he's not allowed to kill, it's obvious he's having a great time getting to beat people up. Yet throughout that brief bit of time, Freeza changes ever so slightly. He had never worked in a team before, he never had to depend on others, help others, and have some measure of respect for Goku and his teammates. Freeza gives energy to Goku's Spirit Bomb, the same thing that nearly killed him all those years ago. After Goku goes Ultra Instinct for the first time, he spares a bit of his energy, just like what Goku did back on Namek. He also seems to find some sort of joy in fighting others, not to kill, torture, and subjugate them, but to become stronger and test his own limits. He also learns to be a team player, for the most part. He comes up with strategies with Gohan to beat Dispo, and he truly gives it his all fighting enemies like Toppo and Jiren. And you gotta remember, if he dies, that's it. Game over. No more chances at resurrection. And finally, the tournament ends with Goku and Freeza working together. Two sworn enemies who just for 48 minutes set aside their differences and saved their universe. Their final combined efforts with Android 17 supporting them is one of the highlight moments of the entire franchise. It's a scene I've watched dozens of times over. It ended up being the most fun I ever had with Freeza, and I was way more invested in Freeza, the kinda sorta but not really ally, than I ever was before. The tournament doesn't end with Freeza finding some value in friendship or the power of trust, but it does feel like he's learned some more down-to-earth lessons. Maybe fighting and testing your own limits can be kinda fun. Having a rival is sort of enjoyable. Sometimes a little bit of cooperation is necessary. After the tournament, Freeza was permanently brought back to life, at least for the meantime. And I was not only okay with it, I was pretty happy. Some were worried that it would have lessened his character and turned him into a kinda sorta good guy. But as evidenced by Dragon Ball Super Broly, he's still the tyrant he always was, and just as cruel as ever. But it's a different relationship this time around. It seems like it's become less about a yearning for revenge and more about the desire to just fuck with the Saiyans. The entire ordeal with Broly feels like a situation that got totally out of hand. He also wants to use the Dragon Balls to grow 5 centimeters taller, which is fucking hilarious. He's the funniest character in that movie. And in a perfect case of poetic justice, Broly absolutely beats the fuck out of him for an hour straight. Personally, that's the way I like it. It's the most invested I've ever been in Freeza. Evil to the core, but maybe somewhere in that icy cold soul of his, there's a guy Universe 7 can rely on. In the right situation. A tyrant and conqueror, but at the same time a bit of a rival to Goku and Vegeta. Ironically, it's only after seeing a more cooperative side to Freeza that I can go back and really appreciate the evil bastard from the Namek saga. And I can respect the totality of the journey. The rise, fall, and fall of Freeza. What a mouthful. But either way, now I can truly appreciate the Emperor of Universe 7. Who knows what the future holds for the universe's most malevolent, but I'll be there to see it. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.